Daniel Ravina here with Windows Central, and we're talking to Juha at Microsoft regarding imaging, and we're just going to go around here and do some introductions.
Hey, I'm Miriam Schwar, and I'm really happy to see you again. This should be good.
And Juha?
Yeah, Juha Alkarho, heading the imaging technology in phones organization at Microsoft.
AKA the imaging guru.
Yes, he's responsible for a lot of that. All right, so tell us what you want to talk about today.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the Denim update and the new Lumia camera. Mm-hmm. So this is actually the biggest update that we have done in imaging since the Windows 8 devices first started. So we have big improvements in the imaging algorithms, the architecture, the application. So it's super exciting to talk about it today, and good to see that it's finally rolling to the users.
Right. And that's primarily going to be for the Lumia 930, the Lumia Icon, Lumia 1520.
And Lumia 830.
And Lumia 830, yes. Right. So mostly the newer peer-reviewed devices that are out in the market.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about HDR. Tell me about HDR.
Okay, yeah, so
you're doing it differently, and what I've seen so far is really awesome.
Yeah, so actually I can show you if it's that's probably the best way. So we have the HDR in this kind of under this rich capture and you can enable rich capture by turning on this magic wand, and so now I can take images with a little bit of magic. And
Dan, you got a smile.
So maybe I'll show some of the existing photos.
I like the fact that you can adjust.
Yeah, exactly. So the HDR that we are implementing. So always in the rich capture, the camera first analyzes what kind of scene you are in, and then it intelligently chooses whether it uses the HDR, dynamic flash, or dynamic exposure. I can talk about that soon. But then the best thing is really after you have captured the photo, so you can customize how much of the effect you want to have. So this is the photo I captured yesterday when I came from the show, and you can have this kind of really dramatic artistic HDR, or you can even turn off the HDR, and you can naturally. It's
actually pretty good without right now. I'm really impressed with the exposure.
Yeah, and you can also see, I actually use this photo just because there are people who are moving, so you can see how well it's also handling the moving people, and you don't see visible artifacts with the move. And I know some competitors are implementing HDR so that you need to first select whether you use like natural HDR or artistic HDR, but it's really difficult to know it before you have captured what you want to do with it. So this is really intuitive way for you to adjust the effect, and also if you don't like the effect in the end, you can just turn off the HDR. And the same thing applies for the dynamic flash and the dynamic exposure, so it's all very similar experience under rich.
So all you have to do is turn on that little magic wand,
exactly,
and you're done. You're ready to go.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So that's we have tons of new features here under rich capture, and then also in the moment capture. And of course we could have implemented everything so that you would have a menu setting for each of those features. Okay, sorry.
You get the whole thing.
Turn that off.
So we could have implemented it so that there is a menu setting, so you can enable moment capture and this feature, and then you can enable HDR, then you can enable rich capture, then you can enable a dynamic exposure, which is just very difficult to use for even for professionals. It's difficult to know in advance.
I mean, that's part of the reason I'm excited, because I've seen a demo of this before, and to me this is like the more intuitive way of doing it, right? Like that's.
And then I really like this dynamic flash.
I was going to say dynamic flash for me is really the big feature here, because using flash, I'm not a flash user.
You're modeling.
So we went to this to see the city yesterday or day before yesterday, and this is a photo with flash. And as we know, so if you are having candlelight dinner with your friends, you may don't want to use the flash because you can't capture the atmosphere. But now with dynamic flash, you can adjust the amount of flash after capturing the photo. So you can turn off the flash completely, or then you can like use the flash. And actually in this photo you can see even the full flash, it looks pretty good balanced photo, but I would go maybe somewhere.
Yeah, sure. So because the background is really bright, and then you want to sort of even lighting. Plus, there's glare in the back, so you want to sort of lessen that.
So do you take 3 shots for this?
This is two. So one with flash and one without flash, and then it's combining the best parts of those 2 photos. It's actually it's really clever. It's much more than just like blending 2 photos. But it's really doing a little bit of magic. And personally, I like to use. Nowadays, I'm really using flash a lot, but I'm using it just to get a little bit of sparkle to the eye.
Sure.
So that's the way to get.
So is
the
this
magic.
all happening at the ISP level, basically? Like, are you like
So
HDR on the modern ISPs is done in hardware? Really
So we are using quite a lot of software algorithms, and that's actually one of the things we also introduce in the Lumia camera and Denim. So we are implementing the algorithms on software, and we are doing this kind of processing in the background. So you can capture new photos while the previous ones are still being processed. So it's super useful for features like high dynamic range or dynamic flash, because you really need to do quite complicated algorithms to make them really.
So it's actually on the main processor in the background, not
and,
on the
and,
ISP.
and it's our own algorithms.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that gives us much more freedom to make super high quality.
But you can do that on a Snapdragon 400.
Basically the software algorithms. So it's of course we are using the hardware resources effectively to.
Of course. Yeah.
So you need the any software runs on hardware.
Gotcha.
but this change in the algorithms is also visible in any photos. You don't need to use rich capture. You see. With Lumia Denim, you get much better image quality. So we have been always really proud of the pixel processing that we have, but it gets even better with Denim. And I like a lot of the smartphones, the images tend to look a little bit like plastic.
Yeah.
And especially if you go to low light, they get really like smudged and plastic. But now with our algorithms, we really try to keep it natural and keep the natural texture in the images, so they really look like more like film type, I would say.
I think it's a big challenge, right? And especially in low light, you need noise reduction, but how much are you going to do before it becomes, art, like in painting,
And I like the real beauty in our algorithms that we can now reduce the noise and still keep the kind of natural texture in the images. So I'm super excited about it, the way we are.
Let's talk about this is like something we've talked about before, the f-stop thing.
Yeah.
So we're like kind of photo buffs, so f-stops are always very
Watch
important.
out, we're getting technical.
Yeah, and so this is basically you talk about how wide the lens can go in pulling in light. And so a device like the Lumia 730, 735 has a really low f1.9.
Yes.
It's actually a beautiful camera. It's one of my
I love
favorites.
that phone too.
Yeah.
I really love it.
Yeah. No, it's
All it needs is OIS and a camera button and we're done. Really.
I just won it with LTE in the United States, but it's a beautiful camera, and even for what's considered like a mid-range device. But what goes into deciding the f-stops? Because we're talking the 930 has a higher f-stop than what you would kind of prefer.
I mean, for me, 2.0 is and less is the magic sweet spots. Every camera phone, not just Lumias that I've used, that are f2.0 or less. Well, there's only one that's less, and that's yours. The 730 and 720.
Yeah.
Are amazing at that, and 2.2 is manageable, but anything I find above 2.2 just seems to like the difference between the 830 and the 735 side by side in the same scene, long exposure, is I can go to ISO, I can double the ISO. Half I should say the ISO on the 735 just because the f.9 versus 2.2. It's unreal.
So that's like when you are developing a new camera module, it's like the question is how much real estate space you have, and what is the sensor size, and then what is the sensor resolution, so how much you need to pull the optics MTF, and then you have the f-stop. Right. So it's all like this kind of a triangle. If you try to do something really well, then you need to give up something else, and the f-stop is we of course always push it as much as possible, but then if you push the f-stop too much down, then you need to then you will see a difference in the sharpness, and
Sure,
or then you need
right.
to make the module taller. So that's like the trial, and we have actually a pretty clever way to design the camera so that we get the best overall image quality. So we really like optimize before we make any hardware. So we try different f-stops, and then we see the difference in the sharpness and the sensor parameters.
So here's a crazy idea. Have you seen the Panasonic CM1?
Sure,
It's
sure.
on the show floor. It is f/over 2.8, man, not that good. But it pulls out, like it doesn't have optical zoom, but it pulls out about 3 millimeters, the back.
Yeah.
And now you have a bigger distance between the lens and the sensor, and you can have a very large sensor, and you can have a faster lens potential. Maybe replace
You need to
it.
join our camera team.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen, right?
Well, I think so.
No, but I mean, you could do that for the replacement with a 1020, maybe. I mean, and look,
Yeah.
like Asus did the Zenfone Zoom, which has perpendicular optic path,
Yeah.
right?
So
And
that's
something I talked to Samsung about 3 years ago. I said you need to put an optical zoom that's perpendicular, and because But I'm a big proponent to the pure view approach.
Yeah.
We just need to go back to 40 megapixels.
yeah.
The
So
1030, the unicorn
The
phone.
unicorn.
Yes, that everybody's looking forward to. Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Obviously, with f-stops and everything, there's going to be a trade-off. Anyone who's seen lenses knows a low f-stop lens is huge versus the portable cameras that we have. So clearly, you got to find that balance.
What were you going to say anyway?
So of course the developing different kind of mechanic solutions is also one of the approaches. Typically, the one of the challenges or one of the very big challenges how you make the tolerances. So the tolerances that we are using here in these devices, it's like amazingly accurate. So you need to have, we talk about micrometers or parts of micrometers.
I'm always a big proponent of keeping taking the mechanisms out and doing it in software if
But
possible.
that was one of
right?
the key reasons why we developed the 41 megapixel instead of making optical zoom, so that we could
Right.
keep the optics in a way simple, and we could keep it like one group, and we could keep the tolerance super tight. That's one of the key reasons why we can have so amazing sharpness with that camera.
So for me, the holy grail next is, now that I have the amazing Lumia camera that I've had, Nokia camera for a while now, with giving me full manual control. If I had to spec my ultimate unicorn 1030, is I want adjustable aperture. I want 3 choices.
Okay.
I want like
Your feedback noted.
f/over 2.0, a 5 and 11.
Yeah.
That way I can like start playing with depths of field.
Sure.
That, I mean, this is perfect case scenario, but that's something that, I mean, it's a moving part, but I don't think you need to worry too much about the lenses moving with respect to the sensor too much.
So we have had actually one device with the variable iris. Do you remember that?
Of course. Yeah.
Was it 86? Yeah.
Yeah, the 86.
Yeah. So
And that was cool.
yeah. So we had. I think there was 2 iris positions and.
And technically was the neutral density filter on the 808.
Yeah. There.
Oh, yeah.
You had, well, it's not aperture though, because I want to play with depth of field.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. That's the selection between neutral density filter and iris is also like there are different technical implications from each of.
But that's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
Like people want phones. Like, I mean, this is such a thin, beautiful phone, the 830. They want this, and they're willing to give up on,
I really like that we have been able to make
This is pretty
that
thin, yeah.
device,
It's pretty remarkable.
that thin camera module in the device, and it's so high quality.
Yeah.
So the
So
well,
let's actually talk about it, because I think I'm taking better pictures. I mean, taking the zoom up, the ability to zoom without, actually losing quality, right? Because with 10 megapixels, you're not going to be able to zoom too much with the pure view zoom. But I seem to be taking better pictures of the 830 than the 930 right now. I think it's an f-stop and maybe a software issue, and I'm very excited because of that.
Yeah, so they are both great devices.
Of
course,
course.
in the 930 and the 20 megapixel devices, you can do the zooming. So there's significant difference in sharpness, clarity,
Color.
Colors. Maybe you don't see that so well in this specific photo, but overall we have done big changes to like everything in the algorithms, like I told in the beginning. So it's pretty happy to see.
So You know, there's some. I'm just curious. You know, Oppo has a phone that has, I think it's Oppo, that has like a crazy algorithm that generates a 30 megapixel picture from a 13 megapixel sensor or something. So it's like ultra zoom or super zoom or something. Are you guys exploring anything like that?
So I'm a technology guy. I'm exploring everything. I'm exploring even on-camera stuff. But so yeah, I'm.
I mean, you know, that's especially if you start with like 20 or 40. You know, you should be able to, like, I'm really impressed with that. That looks like the clarity. You look at the crane mast.
Sure. Yeah.
And
you can see the whites here too.
Yeah. So it's a big difference in like you really see the clarity, sharpness, brightness, and like these new algorithms, the software processing that we have does give us much more power to do like custom stuff that is perfectly matched to whatever camera module we have. So that the algorithms and the cameras work in perfect harmony.
How do you view the Lumia camera line? Do you try to get them all equal as far as performance, or do you see them all as sort of like their own unique quality? Because, you know, it's that question with cameras, right? You know, people who love cameras love shooting different cameras because they give a different feel and effect. Do you kind of view the PureView line that way too, or do you try to set them all equal?
So of course there's like in 40 megapixel PureView you have much more zooming, and then in the 10 megapixel you don't have the zooming. But we really want to make actually all devices, not just PureView, but we want to make all devices to be the best in their price point. Yeah. So if you have a whatever Lumia camera, I really want it to be the best in the price. But if you buy, is it $100, $200, $300 device, I want that our device is the best in the quality, and I think we have pretty good chance to make it with the algorithms and the hardware design that we have. So of course what is the best is different. So if you have, for example, optimizing the image quality, if you need to make kind of lower budget phone, then you are much more limited on the options that you have.
Sure.
And you need to make the basic things first, right? So you need to get the sharpness to a high enough level, and so the kind of the image quality optimization is a little bit different in the different price points, of course.
Gotcha. And I got to ask the question because our audience is going to ask it, and you can give the corporate answer, but people want to know, like, say a Lumia 920 gets Lumia Denim, how come it can't do the same things as, say, the Lumia 930 and Icon? Is it purely a hardware software thing? Is it prioritization? Like, what is different about those? Like, I presume there's extra work that needs to go into those, or also limitations that's preventing you from.
Well, there are of course some limitations that are coming from the hardware.
Sure.
Like in Lumia 1020, it would be really difficult to do this kind of processing that we do at the moment because it's the older generation chip and it's so huge resolution.
Sure.
And then there is of course something that we just need to focus on stuff. So if we try to do 20 devices and tune them to the average quality, or try to make some devices that's super high quality.
So there's not really a whole army dedicated.
Yeah. So the image quality tuning is like, I don't know, should I call it art? But it's
sure.
like super clever people working days and nights and capturing a lot of pictures. So it's really like a manual labor that you need to do.
In other words, so this isn't like a universal across the board update. Each device is somewhat fine tuned.
Of course, it's always like that. So whatever things you do in image quality, it's not just like you change algorithm and voila, it works.
Sure.
You really need to manually make it.
Now that you explain, you do a lot of background processing. You know, obviously you need the new generation chips, right? I mean, the 1020 and the 920
They're
and 20 are running is like dual S4 Pro basically.
Yeah,
It's not that fast. This 400 quad core is faster.
Right.
So, so again, you can give your corporate answer.
Answers.
I'm just, I'm reading between the lines, and what you're telling me is the 1020 is not going to get these updates potentially. And so that obviously brings us to, and again, I know you can't probably speak to future products, but can you give us a glimpse of, like a yes, no, is there something coming that's an imaging flagship to replace the 1020?
I don't think I should comment the future
Okay.
stuff. That's you get the corporate answer like you want.
But I have to ask the questions, because otherwise they're going to be
a lot of comments.
killed in the comments over there.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, I just have one last question. And I always ask you about this, which is, what do you see right now as the current limitations in hardware? Like, you said your unicorn dream phone before, but like clearly he probably has his own scenarios of things he wishes that he doesn't control necessarily. The Qualcomm chipset, he doesn't design those. He wishes they could do certain things. What is your current limitation that you see, and just in general mobile photography?
So I think it's when you talk about image quality, it's difficult to take one item and you really need to make everything really well. And I think we have been doing a pretty good job now optimizing like low light performance, bright light, like you see in here, improving the colors, clarity, and the opportunity that we have with our new algorithms is huge. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Okay.
And by the way, one more thing, I don't think we even discussed too much about the moment capture. But have you like?
Yeah, I talk about it because I don't think everybody knows. Absolutely, please talk about it.
Yeah. So
I mean, your picture had it earlier. It was great. The crowd in front of this convention center moving a little bit.
Oh yeah. There's the live living images.
The living images,
and that's one thing that of course it's in many devices already, and that makes them. But then we have in the Lumia 930, Lumia 1520, and Lumia Icon get the 4K video.
Oh right, the 4K.
And then they get the moment capture, and then this guy gets also the moment capture, but it's working on the Lumia. It's looking 1020p.
Sure.
And I think when the 4K video was becoming available, we were of course quite excited about the opportunity that it has in the video, and a lot of people who are editing videos especially like it because they want to have really high quality raw material.
Yeah.
But then we were also thinking like, can we do something more with the 4K? And that solution is the moment capture.
Okay.
And the idea here is really that you when you see a moment that lasts longer, moment or a moment that you really need to have super careful timing. So you really need to get the moment. Then you just keep the camera button down like this. And
the model.
yeah, you're the model. Yeah. So now I'm recording 4K video.
Oh, yeah.
So I kind of never miss the moment because I always have that moment capture at my fingertips.
Right.
Just by pressing that button. But then the exciting thing also happens when you start editing it. So it's a bit similar to the rich capture. So this is the moment that we recorded. So now I'm going to edit more.
Wish all my subjects had that much color. That was great contrast.
So now I have that moment and I can choose the perfect frame. And you can see how tall he is jumping.
Okay, right.
Because of
I
4K,
remember seeing a demo of this.
And the 4K video, each frame is 8 megapixel resolution, so you really get high
That's
quality
really good.
stills out of this.
Wow. So you just hold the button.
Yeah, you just hold the button
anytime.
and anytime you have it.
You have to be in what mode for that? You can't.
You don't need to be in any
manual.
mode.
Any mode doesn't matter.
And then we have also combined the action shots. So we have the action shot and motion focus here. So I can select the starting and ending part of the video like this. And now it creates the action shot and then you can also go to the motion focus. So let's see how it comes. So motion focus.
Nice.
So and it's really all at your fingertips.
It's amazing.
And I think really one of the key elements on the new Lumia camera is the user interface design. So we have a lot of these new features. We have the dynamic flash, HDR, dynamic exposure, and these features under this moment capture. But what we have is just one new element in the user interface, which is the magic wand enabling rich capture, and then you have this moment capture available with the long press. And it's also a really natural way for a user to use it because if you have a moment, then you just keep the button down and you have the moment
Yeah.
recorded. So it would be super. The easy way to implement would
So-
be that you have a menu setting for everything.
You said they're 8 megapixel shots? So,
So-
they're higher res than the Pureview shots? They were at 5, right?
Yeah, so the 4K video is 8 megapixel.
So that's a good trick. So if you want to get, you know,
Of course,
slightly better,
yeah.
in some cases that
Yeah.
might be a better shot.
Yeah. And then you have the opportunity to do stuff like this. So
Will you change or give us the ability to choose like you did on the 808 to go like 8, 5, or 3 megapixel on the PureView shots?
it's not in the at the moment. That's one of the kind of discussion topics. Should there be more?
I mean, it's not 5 is fine,
Mm,
right?
mm.
But I'm just curious because of course we have RAW, so we can just go crazy
Sure.
with that.
And the 830 is supposed to get raw too with the
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
really good. Thanks for reminding me. So 830 gets raw with the Lumia camera and the denim update, and then there's one more thing that we didn't discuss much. So we have new stuff in the video recording. So I can maybe record you guys.
Yeah, let's get Mark some credit here. Mark's doing all the filming.
So you can see I'm recording, and I can, for example, I can adjust the manual focus
Oh,
during
there's a manual
recording.
now,
Yeah,
nice.
I can adjust it
Wow.
while I'm recording, and I'm also able to adjust the.
That's incredible. So now you can do those clever, crazy,
Depth of
professional
field,
looking
yeah,
shots.
yeah, right.
Yeah, nice.
So there's also those kind of smaller changes in the video recording.
So a quick question for you: when will we be able to edit RAW files on the phone?
Oh.
And the reason I'm asking
Yeah.
is because oftentimes I take a shot that's right at the edge of the performance of the device, and I know I'm going to be able to get something out of it in RAW, but I won't be able to do it like right there with all the parameters.
I think there is a third-party application that.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
Just Roar.
Roar?
Yeah,
Like that.
and there's another one too. I think that does it. Yeah, there's a few that have sort of gotten around the hardware. Part of it is obviously hardware limitations.
But I'm kind of curious if you guys are like thinking of doing something that's from the imaging team that lets you do quick things like really like I don't want a replacement for a desktop app here. I'm thinking things like change the white balance, change the the exposure, like the basic stuff, like 4 or 5 sliders based on the DNG.
Creative Studio and Creative Studio Pro. See,
Exactly.
I solved the
Done.
problem.
Thank you. Exactly what I'm asking.
So we have actually, like you said, we have those features in the Creative Studio, and if you just want to have quick adjustments for something that you share immediately, then
Yeah, but I'm thinking doing it on the RAW file would
Yeah.
be, just a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, it would be sort of a niche thing, right? I mean, I'd be only small,
Yeah,
but
but
then
if
again, no one else does
But
it,
the
and it would
1020
be
is
kind
a
of
niche
cool.
thing. I mean,
Sure,
so
sure, yeah.
yeah.
We're just throwing out
That's
free
yeah.
advice.
We're giving you ideas.
Yeah, he's like, they have no idea how hard this is.
Like, why did I take this interview?
No, I love it.
This is great. I love this.
Yeah. So you need to go and play with it. So that's really.
That's what we need to do. I can't wait to get my updates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And so we can expect those updates by Q1, the end of Q1, for all the current devices, I believe. So
Yes.
it's already rolling out for many phones. Seems like every day or every few days there's a new set of devices that are getting it. And so, so hopefully we'll see more of it in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Right on.
awesome.
Hey,
Well,
thanks.
Thank you, Juha, for
Thanks a
joining
lot.
us.
Yeah, it's so good to
Great
see
seeing
you
you.
again.
Yeah, super.
Great. And head to Windows Central for more information on this, and we'll continue our coverage at CES. Take care, bye.